I'm Julie Bulitt. I've been a family therapist for over 30 years.
I'm David Bulitt. I've been a divorce and family lawyer for more than 35 years.
Together, we have been married for more than 37 years.
In our professional practices, the two of us have been witnesses to individuals and families struggling with life's most difficult challenges. In this podcast, we will talk about the conversations we have had,
The conversations we should have had.
and those that every relationship needs to have in order to find success, happiness, and fulfillment.
This is Conversations for Couples.
The podcast. Welcome back to Conversations for Couples.
The podcast.
And you got it right this time. I'm very impressed. Today we have a very, very awesome couple with a very cool story and a connection to Julie, which is really the reason we were able to get them to come on. A little bit of background. Annie Kane and Jake Lebert, if I pronounced that correctly, met, I guess about over 4 years ago. The two of them separately decided to hike the entire Appalachian Trail. And for those of you out there who don't know what that is, it extends about 2,200 miles from Georgia to Maine. While they were at mile 164 in North Carolina, at what's the name of the bridge?
It's Fontana Dam.
Fontana Dam. They met at Fontana Dam in Georgia. They hiked the rest of the trail together. And the rest is history. They live together in Roanoke, Virginia. Then they are getting married back at Fontana Dam where they met 4 years ago. So welcome aboard. We are so excited to talk to you, hear more about your story. Julie knows more than I do, but thanks for coming to you both.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So we just met. I was out hiking with some friends and we just started talking, and you were just like lovely and very open personality. So I'm so glad that we actually spoke and you told us a little bit about your story. But I think it's such a cool story. So can you, both of you, it doesn't matter who starts, just kind of say what happened?
Well, I mean, we kind of both just started solo. It was a long time sort of in the works for both of us, wanting to do the Appalachian Trail. And we met, after 2 weeks, we had met a couple other people that we were hiking with, but, kind of one evening, we kind of both strolled into the shelter together. And Annie likes to tell the bonfire story.
Oh yeah. So that night we're supposed to go it's kind of like the gateway to the Smoky Mountains. So you stop at Fontana Dam. It's a really nice shelter. It's like a double decker and they call it the Fontana Hilton. It has like a little sign and everything. So because like right up the walkway, there's actually bathrooms and like a shower. I don't know if anybody uses it, but yeah, there's really not any bathrooms or showers to speak of while on trail. But yeah, and so that night there was actually a lot of hikers that ended up at that shelter because everybody heard there was a thunderstorm and they didn't want to go into the Smoky Mountains. Ended up in not raining, and there was we put a bonfire together. There was a bunch of people out there, and Jake and I ended up talking like all night long, and we were the last two hikers out there, which usually everybody goes to bed around 9 p.m. It's called Hiker Midnight.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it was a full moon that night too, so I think the stars just kind of aligned.
Just to give us a sense, so you had been hiking for 2 weeks, and you were about 150 miles in at that point, right? Right. And how much more did you? So now that you meet each other and I wrote this down at mile 147, right? If that's correct, how much more time were you on the trail together before you finished the hike of the Appalachian Trail?
It was about 5 months.
Yeah.
5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because the trail took me 5 months and like 21 days. So yeah, about for 5 more months and like a week and a half, I guess.
Yeah. We call it the longest first date ever.
I love that. And that will be the title of this episode, which I love that. So let's back up even a little bit further. Like, I want to know what prompted you guys to individually go on this journey.
Jake, I feel like your story's better. You can.
Yeah. I grew up in Rhode Island, and my parents would take us into the White Mountains in New Hampshire almost every summer growing up. And, there's a bunch of huts up there. They have a crew. They make you breakfast. They do little skits for you. And there were some through hikers coming through because a couple of those huts are right on the AT up in New Hampshire. And they stopped there that morning while we were eating breakfast, and they did a little Q&A for us. And so that kind of got the gears turning a little bit. So for the next 10 years, that was kind of a seed in the back of my head. And I was like, maybe, once I'm done with college, maybe a little bit after that, I'll, hike the AT.
And how had you hiked other trails before that weren't 2,000 miles long?
Not really. It was pretty much just those weekend camping trips.
Okay. So there's no real working up to do it. You just packed up and.
Any training? I don't even remember if I ever asked you that. If you were training before the trail.
I went to the gym a little bit.
Yeah.
I was living in Texas at the time, and so there was no mountains to be seen. So I was just like doing some stretches of 10 miles, trying to because I had never. My family was not a camping family. So I had never spent the night outside by myself, put up a tent by myself, any of it. I just kind of I had lived in Virginia before I moved to Texas. I was working on an organic vegetable farm, and it was really close to the Shenandoah, and the AT goes straight through that park. And I stood on it for the first time, probably 10 years before I decided to get on trail. And was like, I'm going to do this. This is so cool. And I looked into it, and it kind of was just in the back of my mind. And then I got a really good job in Texas, and I was there for 7 years. And then I was dating someone who wanted to also do the AT. Anyways, long story short, we ended up breaking up, but I had all my stuff, and I had told all my friends, I'm going to go do this. And so even though we broke up, I was like, you know what? I'm not the kind of person that says I'm going to do something and then is backs out because I'm going to be by myself. So I was like, I'm going to do it. It's going to be great. It's going to be this journey for myself. And then boom, 2 weeks later, I meet Jake, and it's us against the world. So.
Wow. What did your families think of? I mean, Jake, it sounds like your family might have been more supportive. And Annie, what did your folks say about this?
I mean, my dad was excited. He sent me one of those Garmin watches that tells you literally everything and can track you and stuff. And then my mom was a little bit more worried. She's kind of a worrywart. So she was like, well, what are you going to take to protect yourself? And I was like, I can't take anything. I have to carry it all on my back. She's like, well, what about a gun or a knife? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to be fine. So Mom was scared. Dad was all for it. Everybody else, all my friends were like, you're crazy. But.
And did you both leave the same time?
I started on March 7th, and Jake started on March 12th. So I was kind of really trying to ease into it. So I was going pretty slow, 5 miles, 7 miles, and kind of building my way up. And I think you were with a faster.
I was going a little bit faster just because I was hiking with a bigger group of people that kind of wanted to push themselves at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of get in shape when you start. There's really nothing you can do to train for it. So you just kind of got to go. And then the trail is the great equalizer. So everyone gets into roughly the same amount of shape after, 2 months.
Wow.
I mean, Jake and I both started with super heavy packs, which is we don't want to get into the nitty gritty of gear and all that, because there's definitely different podcasts on the internet for all that business. But both of us started with 40 pounds on our back, which is crazy. By the time we got done, I think my pack weighed in Maine at 14 pounds. So that just gives you a huge scope of what you can live without, live with and without, and just get rid of all of it.
Wow. That's crazy. So you meet each other early on in this journey, and what are you thinking? At that moment, was it love at first sight? Was it connect? I mean, it sounds like you really connected, but tell us, kind of what you were thinking individually.
I mean, it was that night when we met at the bonfire, I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. He's the prettiest eyes. His eyes are so beautiful. I was and he's really sweet, and he's smart. He was talking about 3D printing, and I'm an artist, so I loved art. And I thought, 3D printing, I did lots of sculptures and stuff. So I thought that was cool. And we kind of connected there. But the AT just brings folks together in a way that you're doing the same thing. It's super hard, and you can kind of bond over the gruelingness of it. We call it type 2 fun.
I love that.
But yeah, and we just I don't know, we just got along so well right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think it was just an immediate sort of friendship and kind
Mm-hmm.
of bonding with each other
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
a lot of different aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
And I had never been to Rhode Island, so I thought that was really cool. I was like, that's
Mhm.
such a cool state. I want to go. Like Taylor Swift has a house there.
Nice. Yeah, you and Taylor. So when did you so you get to know each other, there's this connection obviously. And when did you realize like, oh wow, this is more than a friendship?
Oh, like right away. Like the Smoky Mountains, we say we fell in love in the Smoky Mountains because that was kind of the first test that you get. Those first 150 miles, like there's one sort of ish mountain that people get freaked out about, but it wasn't hard at all. And when you get into the Smokies, that's like your serious first mountains. And we had really crazy weather. It was like snowing, there was ice. And so we kind of had to have each other's back, like be our like partners and, and be like, oh, there's ice ahead, or like, here, give me your hand because you're not like, you're going to slide down this mountain if you don't, stuff like that. So I feel like we really like that bond and that trust, like solidified so fast. And I know that sounds crazy, but you have to think about being with someone literally all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you smashed in like 3 months of dating into 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And without electronics, without technology, without other distractions, no TVs,
just,
cars.
Like, out in the wilderness. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you think that sort of, either impacted your relationship to move forward? I mean, obviously there was no distractions. You were able to either like each other and be with each other or not. Like it was, you were forced.
Yeah, I think it really just like breaks all those barriers down. When you go on a first date, you're like, your hair's looking good, your makeup's on, you're saying all the right stuff. You're talking about like your degrees and all your job. And like when you're out on trail, you're dirty, you're stinky, you're crying, you fall, you're laughing too. Don't get me wrong, trail's really fun too. I made it sound really scary just then. But like you can't hide from your person, And so I think we both just saw like the most vulnerable, raw versions of ourselves, and like we're like, I like this person, I can be with them.
Yeah. So it was pretty immediate that you guys were like, okay, we're attracted to each other. And is there rules out there about how one proceed? Like, is it looked upon badly? Like if you are like bunking up with somebody, or is there any judgments happening, or like?
No, people love some trail love,
Okay.
When we first started hiking together, Jake was already hiking with a group, and your group is called your tramley, your trail family. And so they like brought me in with open arms because I wasn't really hiking with anybody. There was some girls that I had seen and a couple of people that I had hiked with, but you got separated. But like this tramley, we hiked with all the way until like Shenandoah. So like 750 miles in, we were all hiking together, making plans together, meeting up at the end of the day or camping in the same spot. And yeah, everybody was like so excited.
Yeah. So it was okay that you sort of became a couple on the trail.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there were some other, we had 2 trail families, one at the first half, one at the second half. There were couples in
both.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
Yeah, who are married and have babies now.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Oh,
okay, that's cool. So you're like, just connecting and, liking each other. Tell us about like your first fight. Did it happen on the trail or did it happen after the trail?
Our first fight.
It happened on trail, and I think it was probably when I was like, I'm older than Jake. I'm 11 years older than Jake. So I was just like, I can't do 20-mile. These kids were like going. I'm like, I don't want to rush through this. Like, I'm not in a race. Like, I don't have a deadline. I was like, I don't want you to pick between friends and me. Like, we're all friends, but like, I can't go that fast. So like, and that was a moment I think you really were like.
Yeah, I think that was a big moment for me in my AT journey, was just kind of realizing like, do I want to keep hiking with this group of people or, this person that I love?
Yeah.
Did you know you loved her at that time?
Yes. At that time,
okay.
I definitely did.
Yeah. Before that was in like Pennsylvania. Before that, like, I think it was like beginning or middle-ish of Virginia. I was like, am I your girlfriend? Like, I'm not just going to keep sleeping in your tent if you don't put me on your like, yeah, you're my girlfriend. And I was like, okay.
We had already had that conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So you were established, and then you had to kind of make a choice about whether you're going to go with Annie or go at a different pace.
Yeah. It wasn't a choice so much as kind of a realization that I was chasing two things that couldn't happen at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Any mutually scary moments, any wildlife run-ins, anything where the two of you really felt like you needed to buckle up and get through it?
Oh yeah, we did. So we were in West Virginia, which is only about 7 miles of trail on the AT, and I almost stepped on a rattlesnake one day. And it was
so scary. Maybe we can send you guys a clip and you
Yeah.
can like put a little box up of like us freaking out. I don't know if you can see the snake in the clip, but like you can hear the rattler.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a little step down, and the snake was coiled up in the step down where you couldn't see it if you're coming towards it. Almost steps on it. She freaks out. She's rattling. We run back. Obviously, like I'm right behind him and like just like, and he's like, "Stop! There's a snake!"
I'm like pushing you back.
Yeah, and so we like jump back and we let her like go off trail, but she's rattling for like 5 minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
She's very scared. And then we kind of like waited. She stopped rattling and we bolted. We like ran past her, and again she heard us running and started rattling. We were like, we gotta go because they'll chase
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
if you're not careful.
Mhm.
But we were fine.
We were fine.
And
Okay.
then our bear story is very unscary. There was like a teenage bear. He was like adolescent,
Mhm.
and this was in Vermont, and we were at a road crossing. We just saw him like take into the woods. We just saw his like little butt, his little furry black butt running into the woods. So we didn't have any scary bear encounters
No really scary encounters.
other than the
that.
rattlesnake. Yeah.
The
And what-
snake. That would
what-
do it, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds bad. What about weather?
Oh.
Oof. Well, you get all kinds of weather on the AT. In the Smokies, we had lots of snow, some really cold nights.
Mhm.
Both of our water filters that we have to filter water froze, so we had to get new ones. Lots of ice, and then we had a heat wave in New York. We had a tropical storm. We were like walking every day. We were in Vermont. It rained.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh God.
I think the rain was the hardest part. So from when we entered New England in Massachusetts or Connecticut to, when we got basically through Vermont. So every day for a month it rained.
Oh.
And I remember just hiking through the mud.
Mm-hmm.
That was a low point for me, for sure.
I kind of try to internalize it, like, you know how you're like your mom or your dad never lets you play in puddles or never lets you get in the mud and get messy. You just have to like take it like that. You're like, I get to play in the rain every day. I get to go play in the mud and the puddles, and like you got to make it fun like that, because like you had mud all the way up your leg. Your feet were wet every single day. So like,
In the therapy world, we call that a reframe.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you another question. So I'm going to assume that each of you had times when you were, it was raining for many days, or whatever it may have been. One of you was down, the other one had to sort of pick the other one up and sort of cheer them up. So tell me a little bit about those one or two of those instances.
Yeah, I remember this distinct moment when you fell and hit your knee.
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
I had a bad fall and it was like bloody.
And her knee still kind of hurts to this day.
Yeah, well, that's just because
From
I walked
multiple
2,000
injuries.
miles.
But
Yeah. Of course, it had
Yeah.
happened in New Jersey. So.
yeah, and she was crying and she was like, I miss my dog. I just want to go home. And, I was there for you, and I hope I cheered you up a little bit.
And then Jake's like, we can go home when we're done, okay?
So,
But I was like, we have to keep going.
we have to go. We have no.
Yeah.
Were there any times that you were thinking of bailing, like stopping the hike?
Honestly, yeah.
No, we never wanted to
Oh,
quit.
no.
And if it had come to that, like there was one time in Shenandoah where I got hurt, where my knee hurt really bad and I couldn't walk for a week. So I all of our friends that were there, I drove. So I slack packed them, which just means like I carried the majority of their stuff in the car and met them at the trailhead, and they had their backpacks on with just like food and water.
Okay.
So like I had to miss some miles in Shenandoah because I hurt my knee really bad. It ended up being fine, and I KT taped it and did all that. But there was like one moment where I was like, if this doesn't get better, I don't know how I'm gonna walk. Like I don't know how I'm gonna finish. You know.
Yeah.
And some of those things you just push through with tape and ibuprofen.
Oh God. And so I want to know, like, when or I don't even know the end of the story. So you're finishing up the hike. Had you guys already future talked about, like, okay, when we're done with the hike, like, you're going to come live with me, I'm going to go live with you, or we're going to just go separately and see what happens? Like, what happened after?
Yeah. I had already had a plan in my head before I met Jake. I had bought a short school bus. I know that sounds crazy, but I wanted to do like van life. So I had this bus like ready to go. And so I kind of had to like ease that into our conversation, being like, hey, like I'm building out this school bus and I'm going to live in it. How do you feel about that? Would you want to do that with me? And Jake was like,
I think that was one of the first things you mentioned.
yeah.
So I knew.
Were you still in North Carolina when she told you about the school bus, or
Yeah.
that came later?
I told you about the bus. But
It was during our first conversation at the bonfire when you first mentioned it.
I was really stoked about the bus. So probably.
Yeah, that's good. You got to put it out on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, planted the seed early.
Yeah.
And,
So I think he was on board. So basically what happened, we finished trail. I went back to Rhode Island. So I got to visit Rhode Island for the first time. I met Jake's parents. And I was there for about a week. And then I went home to Kentucky where my brother lives, my dog, my little sister, everybody lives in Kentucky. And I went and picked up the bus and started gutting it. And so I got the bus. I was there in Kentucky for about 6 months. We did long distance for 6 months.
Mhm.
I went up there and visited you for your birthday. I think you came down and we went to like there's a national park in Kentucky. So we did a couple visits, and then I had the bus completely ready to go just to like start building it. And so I drove it to Rhode Island, and Jake's dad happened to own a hardware store at the time. He just sold it recently, but it really worked out while we were building the bus. So that was helpful.
yeah,
So
it was convenient. And so we lived in the bus for about 2 years after that.
Oh boy.
Wow, I didn't even know that part. So you just traveled around and lived in the bus, or lived on the bus?
A little bit of travel. It was mostly living around the Boston area. We both worked in the city, so we would commute. We would stay at the state parks during the summer, and we found, friendly neighbors with big driveways during the winter time to stay at. So it worked out pretty well for us.
All right, so I want to go back to the AT for a second, and since you said nothing was off limits, I'm going to go a different direction with you. So you're walking 2,000 miles in the rain, in the mud, in the snow, with, I'm assuming, I don't know how many showers along the way, but probably not that many. Tell me a
actually,
little.
we were pretty clean hikers compared
Okay,
to
so but you're still hikers, so
Exactly.
it's all relative. I'm assuming. Tell me how the intimate part of your relationship developed, to the extent that you feel comfortable. And I'm not looking for to write articles or anything. I'm just curious as to how you were able to work your way through that, being out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think you said it. It's all kind of relative. So it's sort of, we were the cleanest hikers we knew.
Right. And also, like, I think people have a misconception about us hiking out in the wilderness for 2,200 miles in 6 months. Like, every 3 days we're in a town. Sometimes the the path itself goes straight through a town. So you can stop, stay at a hotel. We've stayed at many hotels along the way.
Okay.
We rented like when we got to Damascus, which is a really big trail town. The trail goes right through it. There's markers right on their sidewalks. We rented a house with our trail family. So there was like ways to like not be in a tent and trying to like, birds and the bees in the tent. Like that's, you were in town, there was places to take showers. We made sure like we were clean and like there wasn't any,
I think a lot of people do think that it's just all woods for 2,000 miles, and that's interesting to know.
A lot of people have misconceptions about food. They're like, how did you carry 6 months of food?
Yeah.
I didn't carry 6 months of food. Honestly, I didn't want to carry more than 3 days of food because I knew I was going to get into a town. I knew there was going to be something along the way. There's this thing called trail magic. So there's like such a beautiful community surrounding the AT, and folks come out to like trail crossings or road crossings, and they just bring like a spread. So
that's so cool.
That's so funny that you said that, because after we met on the little short part that we did, we were coming out of wherever we came out of. I'm terrible with directions, and there was like a thing set up with like pizzas and beers and drinks, and we're walking through, and we're like, "Oh, you have any wine there?" And they yelled, "This is for real hikers only."
Oh, that's not nice.
And my friends and I looked at each other and we're like, are we that obvious? I guess we're that obvious. But we sort of felt, like shunned. And we weren't going to take anything from anybody anyway. But I saw what you were talking about, which was people come and, celebrate.
Very
and
cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. So how was it to start your relationship in the real world? Because we're friends with Joan Vassos, who's the Golden Bachelorette, and they talk about after the show, like all this stuff, during the show, they have these ultimate dates and whatever. So like after the show, what does it really look like? So I want to know from both of you, what does it really look like after the trail? What's changed? What's different?
Yeah, I think for me, I think for both of us, it was kind of like a slow expanse of the space around us. So we went from sharing a tent to sharing a school bus together, which is a little bit more free space to move. But I think deep down, I think I wanted like a kitchen and some private spaces and stuff, and we didn't have to always share the same one space.
Right.
So that was kind of what happened, and as our spaces grew. Yeah.
Grew what?
As our spaces grew, we kind of
figured out ways to be like, I wish you'd pick up your stuff.
Right. Real world things.
Our socks are in the same spot, so there's no other spot to put them.
Yeah. And what about now managing the jobs, the technology? Like how does that feel now? Is it feel hard because you guys had you had one task, which was to move along and be with each other. And now it's interfering lots of things.
A lot more noise is what you're saying.
Well, we got really lucky. I think at first, just getting off trail, they call it like you have like the trail blues or a trail depression, post trail, just because like you're not getting those endorphins that many hours of the day. So both of us really, really tried to like keep up walking, keep up doing like activities and stuff like that. And then we both got a job at the same place, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, wow.
So Jake was already working there. And then when I moved to Rhode Island, I applied and got a job at the 3D printing company that he was at. So we would see each other at work all day. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, it was. And we have a dog. We have 2 dogs now. And so being able to bring the dog into the office and
Which
not
was really
worry
nice,
about who was watching her that day was.
I saw you got another dog. You got a second dog, a puppy.
We got a puppy. So that's been tough. And I'm really glad that we did that because we've been growing so much with the puppy. Because you're up at 2, you're up at 5. I mean, It's not like a baby. Don't get me wrong. It's not like a baby. But there's a lot of things that have changed in our lifestyle. And she's only been with us for like 3 weeks now. So.
Yeah, I've been following her. She's adorable.
Oh my gosh, little Hazel.
So
what kind of dog is Hazel?
They're both. So our older dog Isabella is a long-haired miniature dachshund, and so is Hazel.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they're really cute.
So what sent you to Roanoke? How'd you find Roanoke?
We stopped in Roanoke when we were on our hike.
Yeah,
you liked it.
Days. We honestly didn't even plan to stop in Roanoke, but we had run into one of our friends that we hadn't seen in like a month. That's kind of how things work on the trail. You just you're like, all right, see you at camp, and then you never see them for
and then like 2 months later, you're like, oh my god,
yeah. So
where have you been?
Wow.
I'm going into Roanoke. You guys should come with us. And
my friends have like a house, and we can all camp in their backyard. And we're like, yes, let's go.
Oh, I love that.
It's a little convincing, but we liked it. And so at the tail end of our time in Boston, we did a short stint on the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail, California. That was just the desert section, so 700 miles. We were thinking about where we wanted to live after that.
Because we were just like not sold on Boston anymore. We had both quit our jobs, even though as soon as I got back, they called me and were like, you can be remote. Can you come back? I was like, okay. And then we were like in Rhode Island for a little bit, and we're like, okay, you know what? Let's look at rent prices in Virginia. Let's look at Roanoke. It's a cute town. It has everything.
So cute.
There's an airport here. There's lots of cute little breweries. We're taking a pottery class. There's like this really cool pottery class place. There's just like tons of stuff and everything that we needed. And there's lots of young folks that love to be outdoors. We're like, looked at rent prices and we were like sold.
Yeah, that's great.
Compared to Boston, anywhere compared to Boston.
Yes. Yeah.
You took another hike because I actually saw some photographs on your Instagram page, and you did some of the Pacific Coast Trail, and I'm assuming you went together and did got prepared together and did the whole trip together. How was that different? In terms of the two of you. Okay, we're gonna do this trip. We're gonna go together, as opposed to you just deciding on your own and you happen to meet up in North Carolina.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference was our resolves were a little bit stronger on the AT.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had gotten used to just being a normal couple together.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got thrown back into the woods together, I think we were just missing all of the creature comforts of home and
Yeah.
missing our dog. And
Yeah.
But also the PCT was a lot, like, I think once you, whatever your first trail is, whether it's the Pacific Crest Trail, whether it's the CDT, or whether it's the Appalachian Trail, those are the three major, like, big long trails in America. That's like your thing. That's the thing that you love. And so when we went out to the PCT, it was so different. The PCT doesn't take you through any towns, and you don't summit any mountains. And I mean, you can. It's a blue blaze to summit a mountain if you'd like to. And like the weather was a little crazy, and it was just the logistics of that trail are so much more intense and difficult, because to get to a town, you're like 40 miles away, 20 miles away. You gotta call somebody to give you a ride, and you gotta pay them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you put your finger out in somewhere Pennsylvania and somebody takes you down the road 5 miles, because they'll do that for free. And so we
started a little early.
We'll tell him the story, because so Jake had the engagement ring with him. He was going to engage, asked me to marry him at the end of the Pacific Crest Trail. We were going to do the whole thing, which is 500 miles longer than the AT.
It was just over 3,000, or almost 3,000 miles.
Yeah, so, and
I had bought this little thing called a love locker, and it's basically this aluminum or steel case that has a really intricate closing feature with magnets and slides, so it keeps the ring very safe. And I kept that right on my fanny pack in like a little hidden zipper for the whole 2 months we were out there.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no clue.
The first couple weeks I was, always checking it and making sure that I didn't leave it behind, and was very paranoid about it. But
and like I was clueless. I had no idea. And so when I had told him like we should probably go home, like the next section we can't do, it ended up being a really high snow year, so it was going to be too technical for us as well. Like we had purchased all the things that you use in the snow, but we had never really got to use them in practice. And so I just got super nervous. I was like, I don't want to die. And people do die on the Pacific Crest Trail. And I was like, not this year. We'll come back and finish it whenever we can, but like not this year. And so, but he never like faltered. He never was like, but I was gonna, are you sure? Like, he was just like, you're right. We should probably go home.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So we moved to Roanoke, and I pivoted. I took a couple months to kind of re-game plan, and I thought, there's probably no better place to propose to her than, the place where we met. So the Appalachian Trail, just in general. Nice. So, the closest place to us is McAfee's Knob, where
I met you guys. Yeah.
So, and that's a serious hike. So your girl was looking sweaty and hot and a mess. And somebody decided to set up a camera and ask me to marry her.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
So when's the wedding and who's coming?
It's going to be a smaller wedding. So it's mostly like family, really close friends, our trail families. And then it's in May of next year at Fontana Dam. So right where we met.
Nice.
Very cool. And what's the rest of the future look like for the two of you, at least as much as you can think it out from here as you plan your wedding and so forth?
I mean, both of us really want to have some land. We have a tiny little like 2 garden beds that our apartment let us put out in front, which was so gracious of them. But we have tomatoes and peppers, and like we just love that like farmy, like make your own. We made cheese this year. We made we're fermenting peppers. We're doing pickles, like all the things, like crafty grandma stuff.
Yeah,
we're gonna try to make everybody's Christmas gifts at this pottery class that we're taking. So
I love it. Yeah.
So hopefully some land, a little farm, some goats.
Very nice.
I love it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward to following your journey and where it takes you from here. Which trail it takes? Maybe a different kind of trail might come next.
Yeah.
And it's been so much fun. And Julie said, "Oh, you're going to love these folks," and she's right. I'm just sitting back here.
I mean, I
listening.
think we could probably stay on and talk to you for hours. I'm sure we could.
It's been really, really nice getting to know both of you in this last half hour or so.
We appreciate you guys so much for taking the time and sharing your story. So if you were to give anybody advice out there that's thinking about, doing a hiking trip either alone or with somebody, what would you tell them?
Go for it.
Go for it.
It's going to be the best decision you've ever made.
Oh.
Yeah.
And never quit on a bad day.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Having a really good day, and then that would be the right decision. But don't quit on a bad day. And like, it's really hard to articulate how much the Appalachian Trail has changed our lives, not only meeting each other, but just like the nostalgia that you feel for the trail, and the fact that I want to be out there hiking this year and next year, even though I can't, like, it was a great experience. And I would recommend it to anybody who has 5 months to spare.
Well, I like the advice, and I think that the advice is good advice for anybody in any situation, which, as you said, is go for it and don't quit on a bad day. And that's not just on the trail, but that's anywhere, I think, in life. And
I would say that's good for relationships too.
Absolutely.
Don't quit on a bad day.
Absolutely. Annie and Jake, thanks so much for joining us. Folks, this is Conversations for Couples,
the podcast.
You can find us on all social media platforms. We are really, really looking forward. Maybe in a year or two, we'll have you back and see what trail you happen to be on then. Please join us next time on Conversations for Couples,
the podcast.
Julie Bulitt is a professionally licensed clinical social worker and family therapist. David Bulitt is a divorce and family lawyer. Julie is not your therapist, and David is not your lawyer. This podcast is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only.